Greetings and welcome to the Word Bible software and thewordbooks.com. Here we're going to get into Englishman's Greek chapter 5 as we continue on our Greek reading / studying. Go ahead and open up the Word Bible software. I'm already in chapter 5, the Greek article. You can see here in the pop-out, there's a chart of the Greek article, there's a general rule, and then there's some examples, the article of the previous mentioned, and then there is the Granville sharp rule. We're going to go ahead and start right off here at the top. The chart of the Greek article. The declension of the article is as follows. I'm going to go ahead and bring this a little bit further. We have singular, masculine, feminine, neuter, and then we have plural, masculine, feminine, neuter. So the declension of the article is as follows. So if you were to go and you were looking for the singular, it would be ha, he, to, ta. If it was of genitive, that would be like of, the ball of Jim, or sorry, of the dog, would be tu, te, stu. If you were looking dative, like to him, it would be to, te, to. If you were looking at some accusative, which would be more the direct object, it would be ton, tain, ta. And you can see there's some similarities in these two and then these two, so you have to, they can be a little bit ambiguous. And then you have plural, hoi, hi, ta. And there's some ambiguity in here between these two and between these three. Also this one and this one. I believe, let's see if there's another one that crosses over. In here, tas, no, tais, tus, seems to be about the most between that. Okay, very good. Let's go into the general rule. It is important to remember that the way the article was used in Greek is not always the same as the way we use the article in English. Important distinction there. In English, a word may have definite article, the, and indefinite article, a or an, or no article at all. In Greek, there is no indefinite article. So a word either has the article or it does not. So we start to see some differences there. Here's an example of how the Greek usage or non-usage of the article can be misinterpreted. Jehovah's Witnesses writers have argued that there is no article before God in John 1:1. So let's go there. And let's get this a little bigger. And it says, en archehe ha lagos. So there's an article there before the word. Kai ha lagos, the word. En pros tan theon, the God. Kai theos en halagos. So right here before God, there's no article. Okay. And therefore, it must be indefinite. The word was a God. And so that's kai theos he e halagos. See the New World Translation. Is this what the non-use of the article really means? Here's the general rule. Let's dig into this. The use of the article identifies, points out, or marks out. It particularizes or specifics and draws attention to an object or a person, as Daniel Wallace observes. The article was originally derived from the demonstrative pronoun. So, like this and etc. This, that. That is, its original force was to point out something. It has largely kept the force of drawing attention to something. In terms of predominant function, it identifies. Greek Grammar Beyond the Basics, page 208 to 209. When the article is used, just think of it as a pointing finger. So it points to something here, like the word or the logos. The word, the God, the word. The absence of the article defines, characterizes, and qualifies. So let's go ahead and make a mark here. Just highlight this here. Let's find my highlighter. And here. Some important rules to keep in mind. Example 1. If you said, so the absence of the article describes, defines, characterizes, and qualifies. Example 1. If you said river, no article to a Greek, he would ask, what is a river? He would want a definition or a description. He would want you to tell him what a river is like. A river is a flowing body of water, etc. If you said the river article to a Greek, he would say, which river? Are you talking about the Nile or the Jordan? He would want you to identify and specify which river you are referring to. Example 2, the word king has a special meaning in Greek literature. If the Greeks were speaking of a particular king, whether it be this king or that king, they would say the king article. But when they spoke of a king, no article, they thought of what a king was really like. And the one person above all who was a king to them was the king of Persia, their great enemy. The word king itself seemed to describe him. In a similar manner, the Greeks would the Lord article in the LXX Septuagint, the Greek Old Testament, to point out someone who was a master, such as a master of a slave. Exodus 12:21, 4-6. And I'm not sure if there we are. You see the LXX on the bottom. You could get into it. I have some other versions as well. But when they wanted to speak of Jehovah, the Lord, they would say Lord, no article, because he was the one person above all others who deserved to be described and characterized by the term Lord. Thus, Isaiah 43:1 literally reads, let's see here. This might not be the, saying Lord the God. Thus says the Lord. I see. I'm just trying to, And Isaiah 43:10 literally reads in the LXX said, Lord, saith Lord. I see, yep, right there at the start. You see, lege karios, ha theos. So says Lord the God. Very interesting. Isaiah 43:1, lege karios, ha theos. Once again, let me see if I can get a better, get a little better Bible selection here for this. I think I have a better LXX on that. And now the question is to find it. It will be in green. It should be. So LXX. I think it's this one. And then it's either that one or let's do that. Let's try that out. Now let's see what we got here. Nope, not that one either. One sec. We're going to try again. One more. Choose Bibles. So we're looking for the LXXs, which is the Septuagint. We tried that one. We tried that one. There is that one and that one. What will those two do? Yeah, the sweetie. Okay, let's turn off the other one. Okay. Oh, there it is. That was the one I was looking for. Yep. Okay, let's turn off the sweet tea as well. Okay. Well, quick look over. The sweet tea is an excellent one as well. I don't think it has the Strongs or like morphology in it, but there we go. So now you can see it again. Isaiah 43:1, it says, Lege kurios ha theos. Okay, let's continue on. Reads in saith, not the Lord, saith Lord, etc. Example 3. Let's go to John 1:1. The Word was with the God. The article is used. When the article is used with God, then divine personality is in view. In our example, the person of God, the Father, is here being considered. The article points out which person of the God, Christ, was from the eternity past. And the Word was God. No article used. So the two different things there. When the article is not used, divine essence is signified. All that God is. The word Christ is here described as being God. With the emphasis, notice that all the capital letters they're it's referring back to he is identified with Jehovah or with Yahweh. With the emphasis upon all that God is and all that God is like. If the article had been used here, then the phrase would be theologically incorrect. The word was the God the Father. This is false. Christ is not God the Father. He is a distinct person of the Trinity, and he is God. Very important there. Compare John 1:18, God. Let's go to the John 1:18. And it says, Theon hudies erakan popete managenes theas ha un eistan kalpan tu patras ekenas ex gesato. God is here described as to his invisible character. He is defined as being the invisible God. Let's look at that just a little bit. We're getting there. So it starts off with God, not, and let's turn on our morphology, and not has seen. He has not been seen. Let's turn off that webcam briefly so you can see that he has not been seen, or he is not seen. God has neither not seen. He has basically God. No one has seen God. That's, and then we have again the only begotten God. Very interesting. Let's turn the camera back on and we'll continue down. So in here it continues on. Jehovah's Witnesses wrongly translate John 1 as follows. Originally the Word was, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God. That's the New World Translation. 1960 edition emphasis is the authors here. In their appendix, they have an article explaining why they translated in this way, and they quote from a manual grammar of the Greek New Testament by Dana and Manti to justify their translation. Julius Manti, upon learning that he had been quoted, wrote a 2-page article showing that it is not proper to translate this verse as the Jehovah's Witnesses had done. He entitled his article, "A Grossly Misleading Translation." Manti skillfully explains the grammar of this verse and the significance of the absence of the Greek article in the last phrase of verse 1. Dr. Manti's article is reproduced in full. So let's go ahead and read through that. A grossly misleading translation. John 1:1, which reads, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God," is shockingly mistranslated as this. Originally the Word was, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God, in a New World Translation of the Christian Greek Scriptures, published under the auspices of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Since my name is used, referring to Dana and Manti, our manual grammar of the Greek New Testament is quoted on page 744 to seek to justify their translation. I am making this statement. The translation suggests in our grammar for the disputed passage is the word was deity. Moffat's rendering is the word was divine. Williams' translation is the word was God himself. Each translation reflects the dominant idea in the Greek. For whenever an article does not precede a noun in Greek, that noun can either be considered as emphasizing character, nature, essence, or quality of a person or thing, as theos, God, does in John 1:1. Or it can be translated in certain contexts as indefinite, as they have done. But of all the scholars in the world, as far as we know, none have translated this verse as Jehovah's Witnesses have. If the Greek article occurred with both Word and God in John 1:1, the implicit implications would be that they are one and the same person, absolutely identical. But John affirmed that the Word was with the God, and the definite article preceding each noun, and in so writing, he indicates his belief that they were distinct and separate personalities. Then John next stated that the Word was God, i.e., of the same family or essence that characterizes the Creator, or in other words, that both are of the same nature, and that nature is the highest in existence, namely divine. Examples where the noun in the predicate does not have an article, as in the above verse, are John 4:24, God is spirit, not God, not a spirit. 1 John 4:16, God is love, not a love. And Matthew 13:39. So let's look at that. And it says this, Pneuma ho theos, God, spirit is God. So the God is spirit. It does not say the God is a spirit. 1 John 4:16. It says this. Let's go down to here. Ho theos agape estin. The God is love. It does not say the God is a love. No. And Matthew 13:39. The reapers are angels. So we have here. Let's see if we can find that. De hoi therestai ageloi is. The reapers are angels, not the reaper are an angels or something. They are the type of beings known as angels. And in each instance, the noun is in the predicate, was used to describe some quality or characteristic of the subject, whether as to nature or type. The Apostle John, in the context of the introduction to his gospel, is pulling all the stops out of language to portray not only the deity of Christ, but also his equality with the Father. He states that the Word was in the beginning, that he was with God, that he was God, and that all creation came into existence through him, and that not even one thing existed was not created by Christ. What else could be said that John did not say? In John 1:18, he explained that Christ has been so intimate with the Father that he was in his bosom, and that he came to the earth to exhibit or portray God. But if we had no other statement from John except that which is found in John 14:9, he that has seen me has seen the Father, that would be enough to satisfy the seeking soul that Christ and God are the same in essence, and that both are divine and equal in nature. Besides, the whole tenor of the New Testament revelation points out in the direction. Compare Paul's declaration in Colossians 1:19, for instance, that all the divine fullness should dwell in him, or the statement in Hebrews 1:3, he is the reflection of God's glory and the perfect representation of his being. Continues to uphold the universe by his word, mighty word, Williams translation. And note the sweeping cosmic claim recorded in Matthew 28:19. All authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. And if we contrast with that the belittling implication that Christ was only a God, do we not at once detect the discord? Does not such a concept conflict with the New Testament message both in whole and in part? Why, if John, in the midst of the idolatry of his day, had made such a statement, would not the first century hearers and readers have gotten a totally inadequate picture of Christ, who we believe is the creator of the universe and only redeemer of humanity? And that's by Julius Robert Manting. 3a, the article of previous mention. Often the article is used to refer back to something the writer has just mentioned. Here are some examples of this common usage of the article. The angel of the Lord, the grace, and you can see Ephesians 2:8. So it says the grace, and this connects back so that the word, let's look in here. For the grace you are being saved, and that connects back to verse 5. And then verse 5 we have here, even though we're dead in offenses made us alive with Christ, by grace are you saved. So it points back to that. Very good. The Granville Sharp Rule. Granville Sharp was every enemy of justice's worst nightmare and one of the prime movers in the abolitionist cause in England. You can look at that there a little bit. His rule: two nouns connected by chi, the first with the article and the second without it, are by the article identified as one and the same individual or class. So the first with the article and the second without it are by the article identified as the one and the same individual or class. Example from English. When I talk about the lettuce and the tomatoes, I'm speaking about two groups, classes of vegetables. When I talk about the lettuce and tomatoes, I'm speaking of a mixed salad. They are both grouped together in one salad bowl. This is not as apparent in English, but it is a confirmed rule in Greek, having been demonstrated in thousands of cases. In many passages, the Granville Rule is of great theological significance. So the deity of Christ, salvation, election, the Bible, death for the believer, the second coming. And here are some assignments you could get into as you go through here. The Granville Rule, the following is a list of every place in the New Testament where the Granville Rule, Sharp Rule occurs. There are certain situations where the Granville Sharp Rule is ambiguous and may not apply. In these situations, it may apply, but there's some degree of uncertainty as to whether it does. The reason for such uncertainty are twofold. 1. Proper names. These sometimes take the article and sometimes do not. This will be indicated by an asterisk after the verse. 2. The use of the connected nouns, each with its genitive, with such a complicated structure, the verse may not apply. This will be indicated by a plus sign after the verse. So in the following list, if you see an article or plus sign, this indicates that the Granville Sharp Rule may apply. But there's some degree of uncertainty. Okay. And if there are two after the verse, this Granville Sharp Rule is found 2 times in that one verse. So you can go through this list, check out the Granville Sharp Rule. And that brings us to the close of chapter 5. Next time we get into the Englishman's Greek, we'll be looking at the Greek negative. Thank you for joining us. Stay near to God's Word. Make sure your translations are accurate with God's Word. God bless.